So 2 minutes to go in the first half. First quarter, all Denver. Second quarter, all Washington. Redskins by 18.
Not mental. They're just physical things, and in some ways are outclassed.
2nd and 9. Washington from their own 22-yard line. Smith, another big burst. 40, and 50.
And look at Lilly.
And Lilly finally chases him down at the 35-yard line. Fantasy land for Timmy Smith.
Domination at the line of scrimmage. The long touchdown run on the right side, this time over in the left side. And again, the speed by Timmy Smith. He doesn't look that fast. Let's take a look at it low angle. Joe Jacoby on the left side, Raleigh McKenzie, and they pull the offside. Thielman with a good block. And here he comes.
The same old play over and over, the counter gap. That time it's Thielman and Mark May, and Denver's playing this play like they've never seen it before. Washington has probably run this thing a couple hundred times during the course of the regular season. It's their bread and butter play, and Denver, looking at it repeatedly, can't stop it.
10 carries, 131 yards for Timmy Smith. That's more than he had in the entire season. Williams has it deflect off the hands of Warren as he goes down. Freddie Gilbert rushing in, 2nd down.
And Doug's a little bit banged up again. You see how gingerly he stands up. That knee's hurting him a bit.
Yeah, gave you an idea how he feels where he is in that pocket, though. He did not even see the man coming from behind. He knew he had to get rid of it. Somehow he felt the presence of that man, fired the shot, threw it in hard to Don Warren. He couldn't handle it, but he did avoid the sack and also avoid an interception.
Whoa. Whoa. 322 yards and a quarter.
A monster quarter for Washington. 28 on the board and still moving. On 2nd and 10, off balance. The throw is caught by Sanders. Escapes the tackle inside the 20 and out of bounds at the 13-yard line.
Dennis Smith just doesn't make the tackle. It's his play all the way on Ricky Sanders, and he's there in perfect position and just doesn't make it. And we see Tony Lilly coming back to the huddle. He tried to make the tackle late, and he got crunched right at the conclusion of the play.
Dream a day for Ricky Sanders. Williams again gets to protection. They were trying to deal over on the left side of the defensive line, and there's Dennis Smith. That's the tackle you've got to make. He doesn't do it. And
watch Lilly get crunched right there. That's where he enters.
Oh, did he ever.
At the 14-yard line, Williams dropping back to pass. Throwing. Sanders again to the 7-yard line. And Sanders has eclipsed in one half the all-time Super Bowl record most yards gained in a game by a receiver. 161 by Lynn Swann. 177 is his up-to-the-moment total. And timeout called by Washington.
This is the most remarkable quarter of offensive football that we've seen all season, much less that it should come in a Super Bowl. I think the second best would have been the one that John Elway had in the Monday night game against Chicago. But I mean, my jaw is sitting on my chest. I mean, I'm flabbergasted at what Washington's doing to Denver this quarter.
Even though Washington only scored 14 against Chicago, remember that second quarter at Soldier Field that brought them from behind from 14-0 to tie the game, and eventually to set up Green's winning punt return, was what you would think would be the ultimate quarter for a Doug Williams-led team, but he's topped that here.
He got in here late. It's hard to realize that Denver was on top 10-0. What a turnaround. And this total, this man, Doug Williams, with a lot of protection, you can see limp into the huddle. And obviously in pain from a hyperextended left knee. Had to leave the game earlier. And Tony Lilly, hey, baby, you've had a long day already. It is only just short of halftime.
Yeah, number 48, Randy Robbins, is going in to replace Tony. And I think that's a smart move. He was trying to backpedal and just can't do it effectively.
We're getting down around Didier country. The big tight end.
2nd and 3. At the 7. And it's Bryant following Didier, but Didier can't lay down the block, and Bryant gets tackled back at the 8-yard line. And another Bronco is going to be slow in getting up. That's Dennis Smith.
So this is quickly becoming a disaster for Denver.
Yeah, they cannot afford to lose Dennis Smith. That takes care of all the safety men they have remaining.
Lilly's on the sideline. Smith is banged up. Dave Studdard, the left tackle, had to leave with a sprained knee. He's the guy that has to try to neutralize Dexter Manley. And Joe Collier may have to consider suiting up himself.
The defensive coordinator and assistant head coach has sent Lilly for the moment back into the game now when play resumes.
Well, mercifully, Dennis Smith is up, and
see the cast on his right arm. He just came back before the championship game against Cleveland from a broken arm. All-pro strong safety for the past couple of years.
That unfortunately has been the in vogue injury for Denver defensive backs because it cost them Mike Harden for the playoffs as well. 1:09 left in the half. When a timeout is called in this circumstance because of an injured player, if you get up and can continue, you still have to come out for at least one play. Third down, 4 at the 8-yard line with Sanders in motion. And he lost it for Didier, and as Frank said, it's getting to be Didier time. Touchdown.
Big man, so effective down there. And again, Doug Williams, he is having a dream day for a quarterback. He's had a dream year and a dream moment here in San Diego. Like lighting up a cigar almost for Joe Gibbs. A la Red Auerbach. This was a fight, they might stop it.
again, motion across the formation. That time it was Ricky Sanders in motion. He goes to the inside, draws triple coverage, and really Clint Didier just all alone to the outside. Tyrone Braxton, the guy trying to get in there with some coverage, but too little, too late.
Haji Sheik with the extra point. An unbelievable second quarter. Clint Didier. Big touchdown catch at Chicago in the divisional playoffs. Washington on their last 5 possessions.
He's thrown 4 touchdown passes.
five
That ties the Super Bowl record. There he is again. Lots of time. That's the key to it, Dan.
Just all the time in the world. He gets his field of vision, and Tyrone Braxton is 2 steps, 3 steps behind Clint Didier. And Washington's motion and their different patterns. And Frank made reference to the record. It belonged to this guy, Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw, 4 in a game. And Lynn Swan on the receiving end of that one. So Swanee has seen his name taken out of the record book by Ricky Sanders. And Bradshaw, I'm sure, looking on somewhere and watching this performance by Doug Williams.
And that's not 4 1/2, that's 4 1/4.
Yeah. 1:04 to go in the first half. As Cox picks it off, and it's tipped by Dennison, picked up by Bell, and he spins his way back out to the 23-yard line.
Number 35, Ken Bell, takes the kick at the 10-yard line.
In the history of postseason football,
Number 40, Alvin Wong.
most points in any quarter, this is it. Oakland back in '69, Giants in '34.
And you know, the thing to keep in mind about that last touchdown, Washington was just trying to run out the football. I mean, they were just going to keep it on the ground, and Timmy Smith breaks the big play off of the counter gap. Hey, they were content to grind it out and go in at 28-10. 35-10 is nothing more than just gravy for Washington.
At the 23-yard line, they set up the screen, and Elway's lucky to complete this one to Lang. And Lang, looking for the sideline, doesn't get close and gets knocked down at the 31-yard line. Cook was the man, Marcus Cook, who tipped it. Clock still running, 40 seconds.
Manley is chewing up carts, top of your screen.
2nd and 3, shovel to Sewell. And he takes it out to the 41-yard line. Broncos have 1 timeout.
And Dexter is really upset with himself. That's the third time on that shovel where they don't even block the defensive ends. Dexter saw that thing coming all the way and still wasn't able to make the play.
You know what he's doing, though, Dan? He's making Denver think every time they call a play about Dexter Manley. Sutter's out of the ball game. Keith Cart's working against him. No way he can handle him alone, just man for man. And Denver has to think every time they call a play, what is Dexter Manley going to be doing?
Another look at it. The shovel pass. Dexter smells it right now. Tries to get back to the inside to make the play on Sewell. Gets a good shot at his left leg, but Steve, showing some good ability, stays on his feet. Dexter comes up kissing the turf.
I think you'll agree, Dan. It's tough to play offensive football when you have to be thinking that way.
It's tough to play offensive football when you're down by 25 points. That's when it's really tough to play offensive football.
Last time out taken by the Broncos, so they're at their own 40-yard line with 23 seconds remaining in the first half.
I guess with a 25-point lead, we've cut down the chances of an overtime game.
Slightly. Elway. Throwing, Mark Jackson makes the catch. And a flag is down.
The flag's on the near side of the field, about 30 yards downfield.
12 men on the field. Defense.
And they still completed it.
And it stops it with 15 seconds. Well, you're going to be hearing a lot about a special new comedy on ABC. It's called
If you get into that, don't stop looking at it. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, we screened that last night up in Frank's room, and it is. You're right.
Yeah.
It's a cute show.
Yeah, Kathy was crying by the end of it. Very moving.
1st and 10 from the 36. Elway fires, and Brian Davis is there to intercept it. The rookie out of Nebraska. He was their top draft choice last year. Came in the 2nd round, and Dan Reeves wants to take the headset off and get back into the locker room.
And John Elway says, where did this guy come from?
And he might not want to come out of that locker room.
Boy, did he get both feet down? I'm anxious to take a look at this. A designed rollout all the way by John Elway, and he makes the decision to throw. Again, you have to question John's decision to throw that. But Brian Davis clearly with both feet down. Boy, that's a nifty looking play, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
He had an interception against the Bears. And now one here. None in the regular season, 2 in postseason.
Well, Denver's got to worry about Washington trying to run out the ball. Last time they did that, they got a touchdown.
Look out, Smith is in there.
They may score on this formation.
And it's their only possession of the 2nd quarter that doesn't net a touchdown. Reeves has just lived a nightmare. And so have the Broncos as the Redskins score 5 touchdowns to lead 35-10 at the half. And we'll be back at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego after this message from the NFL and a word from your local station.
Over and over and over.
How many years of it? They've been doing it forever.
Ever since Joe Gibbs has been there.
Steve Cox to kick off, and the 2nd half is underway with Washington on top by 25. Ken Bell brings it back out to the 25-yard line. And look now at the salient figures through the first 30 minutes of play.
With the numbers we talked about, the total yard 419. They just exploded. They all came late.
You know what's really impressive here is that Denver is on their way to a 500-yard day offensively. I mean, kind of lost in that Washington onslaught is the fact that Denver is really moving the ball pretty well. But pretty well, I think, isn't quite good enough.
First down, Broncos at their own 26-yard line as they begin the 2nd half out of the shotgun. Elway fakes the inside give, buys time, chased by Mann, chased by Grant and Manley. and then throws incomplete after all of that, intended for Sewell. And Lang also in the area.
John comes back to the huddle smiling, and the Redskin defensive line come back sucking for some air.
Dexter Manley's tongue is right out to his knee. He chased him, had about 3 pops at him. Never did collect him.
Bob McElway called an official's timeout and heads for the Washington bench.
McElway, one of 8 NFL referees selected to work postseason play, and then of those 8, they picked 1 for the Super Bowl. He had worked the Seattle-Houston wild card game. It's his first Super Bowl assignment.
I wonder what that was. He went over and said something to Joe Gibbs. How about an explanation, Bob? Guess not.
Okay.
Looked like he chastised Joe Gibbs for something.
Whatever.
Running up the score, man.
2nd and 10 from the 26. Put Jackson in motion. Intended for Sewell, too high. Covered by Vaughn. Pressure put on by the blitzing Monty Coleman. 3rd down.
Clean run from Monty Coleman. He's probably the swiftest of all the Redskin linebackers. The Butt's wearing that protective brace on his left knee, and it looks as though he's having a problem with it.
Dave wears the Lenox Hill knee brace, and they may be giving it a lube job right now. Get out the oil can, and maybe a little rusty from overuse.
Marcus Cook spells him. 3rd down, 10 from the 26-yard line. Flag, and Elway fires, and it's caught by Jackson up at the 37-yard line, but a marker is down at the line of scrimmage.
Number 80, Mark Jackson.
Manley looked like he might have been moving just a little too eagerly.
He smells blood, but I think you're right. It looked like Dexter was the guy that came across the line.
Offside, number 72. Defense, penalty is declined. 1st down.
We're being told when McElway went over to Gibbs, he was told that he has been holding his 12th man on the field too long defensively. They do all of that situation substituting, and they want to wait until the very last possible second. And McElway said that's too long.
He was chastising him.
Yeah, you're right. 1st and 10 at the 37. And it's Sammy Winder who escapes the first tackle, but not the second. Alvin Walton gets credit for the pop.
If Dexter Manley continues to grab the face mask of Keith Bishop like that, he's going to be invited to watch this ball game from the locker room. I think we got a good look there of Dexter going right for the face mask of Keith Bishop. And let's take a look at this. Dexter collapsed down to the inside, and that's an all-pro football player there, number 54. And watch Dexter go for the face. And that's a no-no right there. Now that's, Keith says, hey, a tit for tat.
In defense of Bishop and Dexter Manley, it started first really, I think, with Bishop grabbing the jersey and almost tearing it off Dexter Manley. It's going to get very interesting over there.
Yeah, but you don't go for the face mask. That's
never.
That wasn't a good play by either one of those two guys.
Well, he's never masked his emotions.
Good point.
2nd and 12 from the 35-yard line. Elway. And through the hands of the intended receiver, Vance Johnson, who has been a pretty solid guy today. And as we said before, he is not nearly 100%. Didn't start. He's played from time to time today, but he's been no factor.
Hey, a good shot there of Keith Bishop, who was blocking on the inside, didn't have anybody to hit, and he turned and went looking for Manley. And boy, did he get a good shot on Dexter. You can see Dexter walking back to the huddle, little shaken. See, here's Keith Cart's working against Dexter. There's Bishop that comes from clear up at the line of scrimmage and drops him like a shot. Good work, guys.
3rd and 13. And flags before the snap.
Bishop's going to be famous.
Start, 54, offense. Still 3rd down.
Keith Bishop's going to be famous in a hurry if he keeps this up. Face mask, hits on Manley, and now an offsides.
And he gets the ISO.
And he'll be right back at him next week in Honolulu.
He'll be headed for Hawaii.
Going to the Pro Bowl.
3 straight, I believe, huh?
Yeah.
First Bronco offensive lineman to ever go to a Pro Bowl.
That, strangely enough, is Denver's first penalty. 3rd and 18 from the 30-yard line. Elway stepping up, throwing only to Wilburn as he makes the interception at the 40-yard line. Gets a block and runs it back to the 50. Number 2 for the man who led the NFL in interceptions during the regular season with 9.
And I think that makes John 3 for 3. I think on his last 3 possessions, he's thrown 3 interceptions.
And obviously just pressing. This game not being 35-10, I'm sure he would not have thrown that football.
Penalty will be against
Personal
Denver.
foul, late hit, 34. After the play was over, 15-yard penalty. The ball will belong to the intercepting team. 1st and 10.
Against Washington, against Brian Davis for the late hit.
He really attracted the pressure this time. Watch the deal at the bottom here. They bring the defensive end, that is Charles Mann, to the inside the tackle. And right in Elway's face. And they also come with their safety blitz, Alvin Walton, number 40.
Redskins now at their own 34-yard line. Their first possession of the 3rd quarter. Sanders, the move man. Timmy Smith. And they finally bottle the rookie up. Simon Fletcher, converted end, making the tackle.
Timmy Smith must have been stunned over there. No hold.
Number 1, world champion.
Possessions. Redskins, first quarter when it was all Denver. 4 punts. We found out a lot about Cox. Second quarter, we found out a lot about Williams and Smith and Sanders. 2nd and 10 from the 35. Kelvin Bryant. First down, out to the 50-yard line goes Bryant.
Calvin Bryant, the ball carrier.
The Redskins so resilient. They're in the Super Bowl twice in 82 and 83, and the key guys are Theismann and Riggins. Then they pick up George Rogers, and he hasn't even been in the game today. And it's Doug Williams and Timmy Smith and Ricky Sanders.
I think the key guys might be Joe Gibbs, Bobby Beathard, and Jack Kent Cook.
So we just talked to Bobby Beathard at halftime. He is the main man. He is the one that has been the pipeline for this personnel.
How about Jack Kent Cook with Doug Williams paying a backup quarterback $475,000 in case he might need him? I think this is maybe needing him just a little.
Clark, first down as he makes the catch at the 39-yard line. Lilly makes the tackle, and again, it's worth repeating at this point. The Monday before the regular season, the Redskins were about ready to make a deal with the Raiders to send Doug Williams to Los Angeles. In fact, Joe Gibbs called Williams that morning at 7, and he said, it looks like you're going to L.A. Williams took it to be a fait accompli, and then Gibbs had to come to him that afternoon and tell him, I can't do it. We're going to keep you here. And he came that close to go under the Raiders. 38-yard line. Smith, just as a postscript to that trade story, in talking with Gibbs the other day, and there is Jack Kent Cook, if the Raiders had come up with a first-round choice or a good player, that deal would have gone through, but they came up a little short in their offer.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, reminds us that Doug Williams is officially on the Redskin injury report with a bruised left knee and has this performance in spite of the fact that he's injured. Not all bad, huh?
2nd and 9 from the 38-yard line. A little low. Gary Clark, the intended receiver. Well, if you believe in omens and you follow horse racing, if you looked at the results at Bay Meadows in San Mateo, California yesterday, the second race was won by a horse named Redskin Chief, owned by Jack Kent Cook. Payoff $15.80.
Were you there?
No. Should have been.
Redskin Chief.
Yep.
Paid $15.80.
Yep.
What was the Quinella?
5 and 3. 96-40. 3rd and 9. Williams incomplete, and a flag down at the 34-yard line.
And I think it was Doug Williams saying that there was interference against Ricky Sanders.
Or Rulon Jones coming in to hit Williams late.
Well, the flag came from out of the backfield, so it's going to be against the defense, I would think. And it just keeps going downhill for Denver.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 28, defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Jeremiah Castile, hero of the Cleveland game. Yesterday's hero.
They come and go quickly, don't they?
I don't know that 2 weeks ever seem so far away.
First and 10. Williams approaching a Super Bowl record for passing yardage. And to the 31-yard line, Smith. Joe Montana holds the Super Bowl record for most yards passing in a game. 331, and he did that in the game against Miami 3 years ago. And Doug Williams is right on the verge.
There's another record for Timmy Smith, the first rookie to go over 100 in the Super Bowl. I can't imagine what that must feel like to be that young, that new to the game, and so little experience in the regular season to come in and have such an impact in a game of this magnitude. Overwhelming.
On 2nd and 9. It's complete to Sanders at the 29-yard line.
Number 83, Ricky
Sanders having an absolutely outstanding afternoon. And of course, when you think about all the years that Doug Williams got hammered around down in Tampa Bay, he learned to do a lot of things that have really paid off for him in recent weeks. And that is when to get rid of the football. He can get rid of it, avoid the sack, and he's been doing that throughout his entire career. But when he went with Tampa Bay, it hasn't been too well remembered. He had 10 300-yard games down there. He's been spectacular today.
On 3rd and 7. To Sanders again, too far and nearly picked off. Castile should have had it.
Doug's lucky that one wasn't intercepted. He launched that baby right into double coverage.
Ricky Sanders also thought he was interfered with too.
I think that's what Doug was gesturing to the officials there, Frank, that he thought there was interference on the play. Let's look at it from the end zone.
Ricky finally is getting the attention of the double coverage. He might be in there just a little late, but he was hammered around pretty good.
Jeremiah Castile had that ball go right off his shoulder pad.
Now a 46-yard field goal attempt. Ali Haji.
This isn't exactly his range.
Right on the edge. And the kick is off the goalpost. Hit the upright.
He hit the upright in the championship game, didn't he?
Yep.
First field goal of the day hit the upright in the game against Minnesota.
Former New York Giant who had that great rookie here. Then the injuries came. The foul.
San Diego, Jack Murphy Stadium. Third period, 8:57 to go in the quarter. Denver has the football at the 29. Washington ahead, 35-10. Little swing pass nearly intercepted by Grant, and he'd have been gone, or close to it anyway. Pass intended for Steve Sewell.
Wow. John Elway is just having a difficult time ever since the last half of the second quarter. And look at Darrell Grant to the right of your screen on the loop. He smells the screen. He's just going to go with Steve Sewell. And alert play by a defensive lineman. That's just heads-up football. But again, something that's easier to do when you're playing for the team that has a 35-10 lead.
2nd and 10. And who would have believed those numbers at the outset? And a sack at the 21 by Dexter Manley.
This is is what Joe Gibbs counted on so heavily, and he's getting it from every part of his football team. But defensively, he wanted Dexter Manley come up on the outside, make sure Elway couldn't slide to the outside. He did that. He beats Cart so thoroughly he can step inside. No place for Elway to go, and down he goes. And the defense, the Redskins now in total domination over the Denver Broncos.
Dexter Manley that time not only put the good inside move on Keith Karts, but he also got by Steve Sewell to collapse to the inside. And he and Charlie Mann nowhere to be seen in the first quarter, but they're coming on strong now, and Mann goes offside just as I talk about it.
On 3rd and 17, free play, and over the head of Jackson. Short hop by Bowles.
Well, Charlie Mann, I'm sure, was offsides on the play. Remember how we talked about early in the ball game how the Redskin defensive ends, Mann and Manley, were concerned about that hard count of John Elway. And
Offside, number 71.
there's a good look at what happens.
3rd down.
John Elway, the best in the league at giving you that hut, that really hard one. And
I wondered if you were going to do that.
I had to do it.
That goes with your doink.
I couldn't help myself.
You give great effects.
3rd down and 12 at the 27. Five-man rush. And through the hands of Natil. Ryan Davis covering. Elway is 5 of his last 24. 5 of his last 24.
I mean, we're talking about things that haven't happened since John Elway was a rookie. Being battered around like this and just having the ball go nowhere near where he wants it to go.
His defense, this one should have been handled by Natil. Coming back for it, in and out of the hands. That's a completion. A few moments ago, one by Jackson was certainly catchable, but he is not the Elway that we have watched over recent weeks. He's not because of that defense. Pressure.
Moran to kick. Green falls for the fair catch and makes it at the 29-yard line. And then gets into it as Bruce Plummer manifests some Bronco frustration.
From the 30-yard line.
Tech in every way.
That is the gondola. What do you call it? The cockpit gondola of the Goodyear blimp, hovering high above San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium.
Nick Nicolari, is it, Captain?
Yep.
Been around a long time flying that blimp up there.
Bringing you the pictures from high above and down below. It's the Washington Redskins on top by 25. 1st and 10 from the 30. Timmy Smith slides to the outside and picks up a couple of yards. Jim Ryan is credited for at least part of the tackle, and Smith the rookie. We talked about it earlier, the fact that he plays so sparingly in college, but this is where Bobby Beathard and Washington really excelled. And to take a look at these guys, see so little of them, and to know that they could develop.
Could be the Redskins are just playing with the clock, toying around, or it could be that Joe Collier has been very effective after halftime. They have shut down the Redskins offense, at least certainly the dominance of that offense.
2nd and 7. Williams throws over the middle and finds Warren, who makes his second catch of the game at the 39-yard line. Appears to be a little short.
A thrilling game for Warren at Columbus to San Diego State. He only had 7 receptions for the entire year.
And I think 2 in 1 game was his best day. So this is a real effort here for Donnie Warren. Carl Mecklenburg, number 77. This time, instead of rushing, dropping back into coverage, locked on Donnie Warren, and there to make the tackle, but after the fact.
How much they respect him. They cover him with the linebacker, the defensive end.
3rd and inches. George Rogers gets into the ball game, makes his debut, and picks up the first down.
Thought we'd see him on short yardage. He's a candidate for an ad for the Blue Cross. He had a dislocated toe, a separated shoulder, a groin injury, injured his ankle last week, had to come out. Been a tough year for George Rogers, former Heisman Award winner.
What's disappointing for George today is that he figured into Washington's game plan whenever they got inside the 5-yard line. But Washington's been scoring from long distance today, and George hasn't had a chance to get in the game.
First down at the 40-yard line. And a bullet caught out at the 47-yard line by Sanders, who adds to his total and his Super Bowl record yardage. It'll be 2nd down and about 3 coming up.
Well, you don't like to call that junk, but it sure is effective. It's a high percentage type of pass, and this is what Joe Gibbs loves, and Williams is absolutely perfect for it. He just has that slingshot arm, reads it perfectly. Get yourself into a 2nd and short situation. It's almost as safe as running the football.
His way out to the 49. He'll be short of the first down by about 2. 3rd and 2.
You notice something? Third or the fourth guy to bring him down, and that's just a question of physical football. Denver, one of the smallest defensive teams in the league, and I think it's in situations like this that it really surfaces.
Meanwhile, Williams has eclipsed Montana's Super Bowl record for passing yardage. 3rd and 1. George Rogers picks up another first down. And you know, when you put Washington's season into perspective, it's amazing. They get to the Super Bowl, and when you took a look at them in the preseason analysis and looked at all the prospectuses, the key guys offensively, or at least 2 of them, would have been Schrader and Rogers. Neither really figuring in this one.
Again, a credit to Bobby Beathard, and you touched on it earlier, Jack Kent Cooke. Not only that he will pay the kind of a salary it took to get a Doug Williams, but also they're almost 1-to-1 in coaches. They have more coaches than anyone by far in the National Football League. They're serious about their football.
At the 47-yard line. Fake to Smith, and Williams going for Clark, and it is picked off at the 2-yard line by Jeremiah Castillo. So he missed an easier interception before and comes up with this one, a beauty, at the 2-yard line.
Beautifully played by Castillo. A real bullet that time from Doug Williams, but Jeremiah knew he had to have the coverage to the inside, and even though it's a well-thrown ball, Castillo plays it as good as you can. And it's been a while since something exciting has happened for Denver defensively, and
Jeremiah Castillo with the interception. That's given Denver the ball at the 2-yard line. John Elway is used to 98-yard drives. The last one he engineered came under slightly different circumstances. From the 2. Lang to give him breathing room, and a marker is thrown. Lang getting to the 6-yard line. Bob McElwee telling us it's going to push him back half the distance.
Almost had to be.
Yeah, when you see it there, there's 90% chance that's what it's going to be. And let's see who's the lucky man.
Holding, number 54, offense, half the distance, first down.
Your man Bishop again.
It's been a big third quarter for Keith Bishop. Offsides, a hold. Couple fracases, but still some kind of football player, and this is some kind of defensive coordinator.
He was a football player too. 48 interceptions for the Bears and the Rams, and came to the Redskins a long time ago. Became the defensive head coach under head coach Gibbs as an assistant head coach.
1st and 11 from the 1. Elway to Mark Jackson. He's out of bounds at about the 11-yard line, short of the first down by a yard. Barry Wilburn covering.
Hey, the thing about Richie Pettibone, this guy could win you a lot of money in a trivia contest when you say, guess what position he played in the National Football League. Now, how big would you say Richie is right now, Frank?
Oh yeah, he's a friend. I wouldn't want to.
I mean,
how about he's a man of ordinary stature?
This guy was a defensive back. I mean, this guy, he was a safety.
And a great one.
Huh.
Coaching can take a lot out of you.
Or put a lot into you.
2nd and 1, and a first down as Sammy Winder takes it out to the 15-yard line.
I think Denver's trying to run the clock out.
2.5 to play, third quarter.
What a nightmare for John Elway, and it's a tremendous credit to the defensive scheme of things that Pettibone set up for these Redskins. Didn't work so good in the first quarter, but all of a sudden it gelled and things have gone every possible plus way you could imagine for the Redskins.
1st and 10 from the 15. He fires to Mateel, who gets rocked and socked as he makes the catch and has the first down. Todd Bowles delivered the ding.
And that was some kind of effort by Ricky Nateel to hold on to the ball, because Bowles jarred it loose. Clarence Vaughn came in and he still held on to the football. Let's take a look at this again. It's not much of a pattern, just a simple little hook to the inside. Nateel sits down and watch that shot by Bowles. Here comes Vaughn swiping at it, and still Nateel holds on to the football. Nice effort.
First down, 27-yard line. Batted, incomplete. Dave Butts.
Second time for that. And you know, that's so typical of the way it's going for Denver, guys. Did you see the pass protection? A perfect pocket for John Elway. Both their tackles handled Man and Manley. Gave John all sorts of time. Look at the good blocking. Charles Mann stopped. Carts at the top of your picture is really handling Manley. John Elway gets to take his step, and Dave Butts, who never even left the line of scrimmage, hits the ball.
You're 6'7", you can go up there a long way. 14 years. Ooh, that's a lot of bumps, bruises, and still going strong.
2nd and 10. And the 30-second clock expired.
Danny's about ready to tear that sheet up, I think. Don't worry, Danny. Pam and the kids still love you.
Maybe.
You've been around this game too long.
With him is Gary Kubiak in the jacket, the backup quarterback to Elway, who has sat and watched all season as Elway has led them into the Super Bowl. But today, a day unlike almost any other in John's career, as he goes back to pass and gets sacked back at the 15 by Manley and Walton.
Safety blitz, and that's the hitter, Walton. Manley sending Keith Carts around. Never waved the loose over on the left side.
Well, you can play defensive football when you've got a lead like this. I mean, Richie Pettibone can call just about anything he wants to from the sideline and doesn't really have to worry about the consequences all that much. And the Redskins secondary this entire game, with the exception of a very shaky beginning, but since they got solidified, has been all over every Bronco receiver all across the field, and they just completely disrupted Denver's passing game.
3rd and 22. Washington just turning in its 3rd sack, and it's the 2nd in which Walton has been involved. And Elway hanging it up for Watson and has it picked off at the 47-yard line.
That's going to be roughing the passer, though. That's going to come back. They roughed John Elway.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 40 defense.
Yeah, that's all the way. Alvin Walton just steamrolled Elway.
He's been in there several times. He got a couple of hits, and this time he just carried it too far.
Yeah, you got to be smart. Got to be smart. And Clarence Vaughn with the interception, but that won't even go in the books. Look at Alvin Walton right there on the left. Charles Mann draws Lanier's block, a free rein. You can't lower the shoulder and hit the guy in the back like that.
There's no question he could have pulled off that one. And there should be no question to Walton. They're going to throw a flag on it.
That's the 2nd time today that Elway has drawn the roughing the passer penalty. One in the first half. Again, another look at it. He's got the free shot, but it's clear that he's thrown the ball. Took 2 full steps, lowered that left shoulder, and puts it right in John Elway's kidneys. That's going to draw the flag 100 times out of 100.
Walton is programmed to 180, but he's about 195.
The hardest hitter on the Redskins defensive team. Not a great cover guy, but boy, he's some kind of tackler, some kind of force guy.
And in on 2 sacks today. That gives Denver a 1st down out at the 30-yard line. And it's Shula going nowhere. Dexter Manley pursues and gets it. And then tells him about it. Does a little play-by-play in color as well.
Dexter might have been clipped on the play. It almost looked like Dexter was hit from behind. Fights off a block. Now watch him running right here. Yeah, he's hit from behind by Stephon Humphreys. And Dexter fights off the clip and still gets in and makes the play.
He had 3 Broncos take a shot at him. He went over to the bench. I don't know whether he was hurt or not. Yeah, now he's holding his left arm, but he most definitely was winded. He has been in on the pass rush close to Elway for the past 3 out of 5 plays, and now he's stretched one out. He is really winded.
2nd down, 13. And McKeel can't handle it. He was covered by Green.
Isn't it funny how Darrell Green, we really haven't called his number much today? John Elway and the Denver Broncos are going nowhere near Darrell Green.
And it's funny, too, because it looked like Green would be on Vance Johnson if Johnson had been healthy. That hasn't been the case.
Another 3rd and long yardage situation for Denver. And again, John Elway's passing percentage is headed for Tijuana.
On 3rd and 13. For McKeel again. And Bowles breaks the play up.
Well, that one could have been well intercepted too.
Yeah, that's a good play by the Bronco receiver. That is intercepted. Bowles had a beat on that pass all the way. That had no velocity to it. Ricky Nattiel did a nice job breaking it up. That ball looked more like a punt than a pass. Todd Bowles from Temple.
Now you just know they're going to put the ball in the air. They lay back. They're going almost totally with the prevent defense.
Eric Yarber is back to receive the kick as they give Green this punt off. And he makes the fair catch back at the 31-yard line. So Denver can't go anywhere. Washington gets it back. They worked on Manley on the bench with 12 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. something like that.
Near Belishnica.
Absolutely.
Just outside of Sarajevo.
Just south of Ljubljana. From the 30, Gary Clark. All the way to the 43-yard line of the Broncos. On a play that will wrap up the third quarter.
One thing about Washington offensively, they're sure not playing like a team that's got a 25-point lead, are they? Ends around. Running it all. Why save it?
End of the third. 35-10. Back after this word about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from your local station. 4-yard line, 1st and 10. Smith breaks another one inside the 30, the 20. Timmy Smith to the 10-yard line.
That look familiar?
Now we're going to have a trivia question. I want everybody out there to guess the name of that play. Let's try counter gap, where you pull the 2 off linemen up through the hole, and you'd think Denver would figure it out by now.
Or Terry Burns would call it a stutter play. How effective, though?
Nothing more. The back takes a counter step, and the 2 off linemen come around and through the hole, and they have just been pouring it to Denver on that play all day.
Timmy Smith is heading towards some kind of record.
He has 171 yards in 16 carries. That one good for 32. Here comes Castillo, helped off. And Washington has a 1st and 10 just outside the 10-yard line. Smith comes back the other way and barrels down to about the 3-yard line.
A total busted play, and he makes yardage. I mean, that's the kind of day it's been for Washington. Remember in the first half when both linemen fell down and Kelvin Bryant gets around to the outside? This time Doug Williams and Timmy Smith run into one another in the backfield, and Smith still gets around the defense and makes yardage.
Super Bowl record, most yards rushing. It was Marcus Allen in Tampa, 191.
Timmy Smith hasn't played a full season since 3 years ago.
Allen did
sophomore.
Allen did it against Washington. Second down, 3. And it figures. Timmy Smith for the touchdown. You deserve it, Timmy.
What a place to grow into the star, the Super Bowl. A whole lot of people around the country have never heard of this young man until tonight. Around the world, too.
And he doesn't even get touched. Watch this from behind, and just watch what the Redskin offensive line does to the Bronco defense.
He didn't need that from Didier, but he got it anyway.
Joe Jacoby came across the formation on a pull, but a lot of orange jerseys standing around and watching, and if you're a Denver fan, that ain't a pretty sight.
That'd be a mud dance. He's not in Texas Tech.
Haji Sheik kicks his 6th extra point of the game. 13:09 remaining. 42-10. Redskin coaches telling us the other day they were trying to keep it a little simple for Timmy Smith when he was in the game. He's just a rookie. Didn't want to burden him with too many audibles and all the rest of it. They didn't have to burden him with anything today, did they?
So we asked him how many plays he had, and he looked at us. He said 3.
Yeah.
I think back to that conversation we had with him, and all 3 of us were impressed. What a classy young kid he is. I mean, really a fine young man.
Kickoff fielded at the goal line by Bell. And Orr makes the tackle out at the 14. Records falling by the wayside left and right here. Washington has already eclipsed the mark for most total yardage in a Super Bowl game at 541. And there it is. San Francisco held the mark against the Dolphins 3 years ago.
13 minutes remaining.
Yeah. They're not done. And Smith is not done because he's going to track down Marcus Allen in another couple of carries the way things are going. Dexter Manley is back in the game. And Coming out is Dean Hamill, who was in on the kickoff coverage. Broncos take over at their own 14-yard line. Coming into the game today, Denver's defense had not allowed a 100-yard day by any opposing running back this year. And here's Timmy Smith on the verge of 200. Joe Collier, the exalted defensive coordinator of the Broncos, he has lived a nightmare.
Well, he knew he had a lot of work to do coming into this ball game. Win or lose, he had to revamp that defense by next year, and this solidifies it.
Elway escapes the sack and then runs out of bounds out at the 34-yard line. That's the type of play in a close game at a critical time you remember for a long time and say only Elway could do that, but here it's dust in the wind.
You're right. Look at him smile.
He has a lot of fun, isn't he?
You do have to really enjoy a guy who enjoys what he's doing as much as John Elway. Down 42-10, and the guy is still out there for the love of the competition. He knew 11 guys were chasing him and couldn't catch him, and even losing the ball game derives some satisfaction from that.
1st and 10 at the 34.
Look out.
Elway starting to slip as he planted. And the errant pass was the result, and the pop put on by Monty Coleman.
Well, Monty Coleman was free on the blitz. And Washington is doing a fabulous job of overloading a side against Denver and coming with the blitz, and they're coming with a free man just about every time. Watching them get after the quarterback. Watch Monty Coleman. See him right there on the line of scrimmage. Kartz drops off, looks at Manley, but there's nobody there for Monty Coleman, and he really strokes John Elway after the release of that ball.
That's 2 times that Coleman has come through absolutely free. Good way to lose a quarterback.
2nd and 10. And it's Clarence Kay who takes it all the way to the 39-yard line. He's been a silent man today, and when the game began, Denver thinking about using Sewell and Kay. They were going to go to Sewell a lot. They were going to try to use their tight ends a lot.
Remember, we talked to John Elway yesterday, and he mentioned Clarence Kay, he mentioned Sewell, and their game plan was to try to lock up anybody they could on the Redskin linebackers. They were going to try to take advantage of the fact that they're not the speediest group of guys and not really good coverage guys. And yet, like a lot of other people, they haven't been able to do it. And I think that's to Richie Pettibone's credit. He really, really covers up his defensive weaknesses as well as anybody.
Elway on 1st and 10, and down he goes.
Gotta be a 71 there somewhere. Charles Mann gets into the act.
There they are. Man, old Manley.
And if it had been Mann, it could just as well have been Monty Coleman all over again. Top of your screen, Manley going against Lanier. And when the defensive end, as you well know, here's Lanier trying to make the block. When the defensive end knows you have to put it up in the air, it makes it so tough on the offensive tackle, Dan.
Well, part of the problem there is that John Elway took such a deep drop that Lanier, trying to ride Charles Mann around the corner, really had no corner. There's nothing more a defensive end likes than trying to sack a quarterback that takes about a 13-yard drop like John Elway did there. It's pretty easy to get him.
At the 38-yard line, Clarence Kay makes another reception with 10:40 left in the 4th quarter.
That time they picked up Coleman and left Butts free. They just are not keeping in enough men to pick up the blitz that Richie Pettibone has designed, and it's a good one.
So it'll be 3rd down and 9 for the Broncos.
It's been a long time, Al, since they've been in Washington territory. They have been playing most of this ball game at their own end of the field, not generating too much offense, at least productive offense, and this must look refreshing to be down here in Washington territory.
Johnson, Natil, and Steve Watson are all split to the right, with Watson now coming in motion. And he and Jackson.
Here comes Walton
To the
again.
left, flag is down. And Elway gets ripped at the 45-yard line. Alvin Walton again, and 51, Coleman. But motion is the call.
Illegal motion. Illegal motion. Number 24, offense. 2 men moving. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
You want to watch a good effort? I want you to keep an eye on Alvin Walton, who comes up to the line of scrimmage here at the top. Watch his effort coming in, chasing all the way back around and getting John Elway clear over there on the other side. There's Alvin Walton. He gets into position right now. We switched guys. Here he comes right now from that position. He gets blocked almost down to the